All right, it's the Hrvoje and I show, streaming on TNT Radio.live, as well as the smartphone app. Get it if you don't have it, and subscribe to our Rumble, YouTube, Odyssey, where we also stream live, and you can always stream playback or download the MP3s after the fact. The next day, a week later, a month later, a year later, whenever you feel like it. I'm joined once again by James Guzman, an American-born writer, insurance broker specializing in non-conventional markets and countries. He's also the founder of the Borderless blog and the Borderless podcast, which you can find at borderlessblog.com. You can also find him at jamesguzman.com. He often gives talks at different conferences. And if you need health insurance, you can go to borderlesshealthinsurance.com. How is life, James?
Hey, buddy, doing good. That was a good intro. You sound like you're extra energetic today. I had an extra mezcal this morning.
Yeah, well, you got to look at things the glass half full, right? So
yeah.
What can I tell you? Yeah. So, by the way, my state here in Mexico, Jalisco, I was just reading. It's the first place nationally in cases of monkeypox. We're up to now. No. How many cases does it say we have now? Like 2 or 7 or something. And I saw a clip of people in New York who were already lining up for the monkey vax. Already on the streets of New York, they've got little stands on the corners, and you can get your monkey vax. I'm taking the more natural approach of just eating more bananas. You can take it in the form of banana bread, bananas, banana pudding. What are your thoughts on the monkeypox?
You got to put an extra 2 or 3 masks on. So now we're up to 5 or something, and the monkeypox. I don't know, man. I haven't heard anything about it. I think it's kind of. It's weird that I don't understand how they're talking about a vaccine, and then they were talking about masks and stuff like that. But then it's supposed to be spread only if you're gay or bi. I don't know how that makes any sense either, because like if you're bi, that means you would have straight sex too. So how come you could get it if you're having? I don't know. Doesn't seem to make much sense to me. But got 2 cases. That sounds pretty horrible. You better stay inside.
I'm gonna lock myself on my rancho here with my agave and my tamales and my cowboy boots and cowboy hat, and
sell tacos.
What's going on in sell tacos in a monkey suit? So that's actually a good marketing. If one of these taco guys do something like that. Anyways, what's happening in James's
Dancing
world?
Monkey. Well, first of all, the number one thing this week, abortion. Everybody's talking about it. So everybody wants to have an abortion and get it on demand. And so this is what has been on the top of the, the news here. I've noticed that there's a lot of people that I've talked to and seen on social media, and they're like, I'm leaving the United States. That's it. Because they're making abortion illegal. So most famously, Billy, what is his name? Billy Joe from Green Day.
I saw you post that. Billy Joe Armstrong. Yeah.
Yeah. He says, F you guys. I'm out of here. You're a bunch of Christian bigots. I'm going to England. And, the funny thing is he was born and raised and he lives in California, which, pretty sure you can have abortion on demand like up until the day the baby's born. So I don't know what his problem is. In the UK, it's even stricter than that. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are kind of because I've had people tell me down, like people that are visiting, and I got into a discussion with somebody down here, and they were saying, yeah, we got to get out of here because the United States is just, it's turning into the, what's the Handmaid's Tale? You know what I mean? They're going to have just strap all the women down and make them have babies they don't want to have. But then I brought up, that they were like, were they going to come down to Mexico? And I'm like, well, in Mexico, it's like that. There's states determine if it's legal or not. And actually, I think only it's about 9 states in Mexico where abortion is legal in the first trimester. But people do it; they find ways around it. They go to different states, but it's that's how it is. It's how it's always been. So yeah, I don't know, I think a lot of people are kind of hysterical over that.
Yeah, I do not approve. My personal opinion of abortion. That's my view, and I really recommend. I love the movie by Living Waters out from California. They put together, whether you agree or disagree, I've shown it in classes when I used to teach, because the film is called 180 movie, like the number 180 movie. If you just search that in, you'll find it for free. But it deals with history and then segues into talking about abortion. But even for students who were not who are pro abortion, no one complained. Like, the movie was just so powerful, and it just made made for conversation and for talking. But related to what you said, this people, like, we saw this with Trump, right? If Trump wins, I'm going to move to Canada. A lot of these liberals, but nobody did. Or I think some of them said they would. Someone pointed out. Maybe there's some underlying racism here, where how come no one said they would move to Mexico? It's Canada, but well, first of all, it's like, who cares for these these politicians? It's like I said I'm gonna move to get out of America, and I did, and I never declared it. I just left. Like, who cares? Does anyone care if I'm leaving? And that's number one. And number two, they never follow through. It's like, okay, then do it. Yeah. Like, seriously, go to UK or go to Canada, or if you're going to say something, then do it. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I told some people online too, that were saying that they're, that's it, I'm leaving this place. And I was like, I don't believe you. Anyways, yeah, it's pretty funny. I think that, I'm not like a Gavin McInnes fan, but I remember there was one clip where he was like talking to some really progressive woman, and she's like, I hate the United States is so racist, and she's like, I'm getting out of here. And he says, okay, well, where are you going to go? She said, Sweden or Norway or whatever. And he was like, okay, so all like 90% plus white countries. And she's like, oh, well, she's like, I didn't know what to say. It's pretty funny.
But I think I think it's just a bit extreme. This kind of shows, and I've read a bit about this, like, politics has become a religion, like a civic religion, literally a religion, politics, which I don't think it should be, because it can't save your soul. Politics, it just works on the material plane. But I'm forgetting my train of thought. But like, just for that being reason to leave a country. Just to go to a country or leave a country because of the politics, usually, that's kind of, I don't know. And then what happens? You move to the UK, and then they make the law there, and you're just going to keep country hopping, So yeah.
Well, I'm all for people going where they think that they fit in better, or that where they have taxation that they're more in agreement with, or whatever it is that they want to do, the freedoms that they want to take care that they want to take advantage of, then that's all good. But I was just mentioning that with this Billy guy, it doesn't make any sense. You're going from California, which has some of the most liberal laws in the world, to one that doesn't, and so the whole thing doesn't make any sense. But about the politics being a religious thing, yeah, I think that's something that's been happening for a long time, is kind of the whatever you want to call it, the kind of progressive ideology is definitely turned into a religion. Even Zuby, who I consider to be kind of a center right guy who's had a lot of traction on Twitter and stuff like that. But he had a tweet, and it said, it's funny that people can't see how traditional religion is simply being replaced by hardline secular ideologies, which are often more dogmatic, intolerant, and hostile to non-believers, blasphemers, and apostates. People are more godless than ever, but just as religious. So Yeah, I mean, I think that's becoming obvious to even kind of centrist people, but it's something a lot of people have reflected on kind of more on the fringes, is that although people, think that they have this secular society, they've created their own kind of religion. And you can see that with the scientism that we saw in COVID and all the, the rituals also along with COVID and other things. And I think that all this constant nonstop virtue signaling of a different thing, that has kind of ideological aspects to it and, kind of religious aspects to it. So, yeah, I mean, they've created their own kind of a really strange and goofy religion, by the way. So that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I saw that Zuby tweet. We are on the same page. He's like a modern day sage. I don't know how he does it, coming up with such, amazing insights so consistently. Maybe it's the exercise. I need to start exercising more. I don't know.
Get Jacksonated.
Yeah. I think that's what he says. No.
Yeah.
Get Jacksonated.
Yeah.
So I guess the other big news is what's happened in Texas, going back again to the migration thing. 46 migrants have been found dead in Texas inside a sweltering tractor trailer. I'm looking through the article. I believe a number of them, AMLO had said something that a number were Mexican nationals. So, I mean, this is in the news now, but this is like something that has always been going on. Obviously, it's a horrible thing, but this is happening daily. This has been going on for decades, and so I don't know if you've seen that story or if you have any thoughts there.
Some have died in the hospital, and I believe about 10 more are in critical condition. But they were in a trailer abandoned in San Antonio. 22 of them were Mexican, 7 were Guatemalan, 2 from Honduras. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty horrible way to die, I would say. And this isn't a one-off incident. In December, 50 died in a semi-trailer also, but that was in Chiapas. In a similar circumstance, they were just bringing them up from Central America or southern Mexico, and they died in a trailer. And no, I'm sorry, that one wasn't Chiapas. That was in I can't remember, but I think that might have been near the border. The one that did happen in Chiapas was where they found 652 migrants in 6 separate trailers that was stopped, but they were alive. They didn't find all those people dead, but they were all in similar type of trailers. So they're just like, this is industrial human trafficking, I guess you could say, or just people that are trying to get up to the border into the United States. Also in San Antonio, 10 migrants died similarly in 2017 in a truck parked at Walmart. They were in the back of the truck. In 2003, 19 were found in San Antonio. That was the same inside of a truck. So, this type of thing happens, unfortunately. And it's really hard to say who's at fault. I mean, a lot of the, I guess you could say, like the left wing of the United States, they blame it on the Republicans. They're saying that, they need to have more lax immigration laws so that, they won't be quote unquote forced to put themselves in these situations, and they could just come across legally. The Republicans are blaming the Democrats for they're going to let Title 42 expire and other types of more liberal policies that they're incentivizing people from coming up because they know they're not going to get in big trouble. Either way, I mean, it's a lot of different people, and they're coming from different parts of the world as well. There was also in the one in Chiapas, just as an example, I wrote down this. So all the people that were found in this trailer, so they're from Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Yemen, Uzbekistan, South Africa, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Bolivia, Peru, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Venezuela, and on and on. So, I mean, you got people from all over the world that would like to flood to the United States. So, I mean, the idea of just, well, they need to have more lax immigration laws. Well, I mean, then you're going to imagine how many people are going to come up. I think they did a survey and from like a quarter to half of Indians from India said that they would move to the United States if they could. They, obviously that, just opening up the floodgates isn't going to work as well. So it's, who's exactly to blame for this it's hard to say, but it's a horrible thing that happened. So who knows what kind of knee-jerk reaction that they'll have to try to deal with this kind of thing.
Yeah, I would agree that you can't just open the border. No country can do that. I mean, as you said, the liberals, leftists in America, I mean, they'll want that. I mean, how do the people in other countries feel? I think most people in most countries would not want that to happen to their country. But on the other hand, and I've had it easy for most of my life. I've lived in half a dozen countries and traveled in over a dozen. And most of the time it's been easy for me to cross borders. And I would wish that same opportunity for most people. And I think it should be easier for people to get into America, not just America, but many countries. Maybe there should be a background check or something by the U.S. of foreigners who want to come in legally. But I think it should be easier for people to legally visit countries. I remember when I was coming back to Switzerland, I was a student, and I came back to Geneva, and the border guard in Geneva asked me my permanent home address. And I don't remember, I said it was in the U.S. or somewhere. And he was like, good. Like, he didn't want me there. Like, he was glad that I was just staying temporarily. I'm like, dude, what's your problem? Like, you hate foreigners. Anyways, we're going to go to break, our first tequila break, and you can check out James's website at jamesguzman.com or borderlessblog.com. Subscribe to all of his socials, his podcast. And if you need health insurance, go to borderlesshealthinsurance.com. We'll be right back on TNT Radio. We are back on the Hrvoje and I show. We've been talking to James Guzman of jamesguzman.com, borderlessblog.com, borderlesshealthinsurance.com. And we've been talking about what's been going on in Colombia. And I think you sent me a great article from antiwar.com from Ted Snyder. I've interviewed like almost all of the libertarian people: Dave DeCamp, Kyle Anzalone, Daniel McAdams, Connor Freeman. I can't even remember all of their names. Scott Horton. Right after you, Mark Clare is coming up. You know him, right? Next hour.
Oh yeah, cool. Awesome.
Lines of Liberty. He's coming up right at the next hour.
Cool.
And anyways, this is about Colombia. Yeah, antiwar.com. Great website. They really like.
I think he'd probably take issue with him calling a libertarian. I'm not sure. I think that he no longer calls himself that.
Well, he could.
You can ask him that next hour.
Yeah, I will ask him that. And yeah, anti-war is great because it really boils things down into these brief, concise articles to the point. There's just so much content these days. But anyways, I'm just going to read that last paragraph, which I think nails it. It says, the election of Gustavo. Is it Gustavo or Gustav? Where's the article? I can't even. Gustavo, yeah. Gustavo Petro. The election of Petro continues the tide of Latin American nations, including Argentina, Chile, Peru, Honduras, and Bolivia, to elect governments that not only lean left, but lean toward Latin American integration and the balancing of regional U.S. hegemony, joining Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, and lining up behind Mexico and possibly soon Brazil. This tide will be a powerful force confronting U.S. hegemony in the region. It may also be a powerful balancing force against U.S. hegemony globally. I kind of see two ways this can go. I'm on the fence. Like, I would agree with this conclusion by Ted Snyder. It makes total sense. But I think we discussed previously this Brazilian professor, Felipe Quintas, who said that Petro was a globalist in disguise, which I think there's a lot of evidence for as well. He's touting the same globalist talking points: climate, blah, 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 net zero, blah, 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 probably woke stuff, blah, blah, blah. He's very friendly with Bill Clinton and Joe Biden. And so I think time will tell, but it can go either way. I don't know if you have any new thoughts on Colombia in this regard, or Latin America.
Yeah, I guess I think I'd underestimated how much he was really on board with Joe Biden. He seems to be a really big fan. I think that a lot of it has to do with Trump. Trump was really not. He was, really talking smack about Petro, and was very happy when Duque got in. And so I think that he just kind of said, "Well, I'm going to go with Biden on this." But he had written a lot of stuff, tweets and other things, just really just really happy about Biden, saying how great he was and all that. But yeah, him hanging out with Biden, hanging out with Bill Clinton, kind of just shows, okay, this is I think that is just probably a neoliberal hack that it just has that kind of, like we talked before, has this kind of a quote unquote leftist rapper. That they'll just go on and on. Not a rapper like a gangster rapper, but a rapper as in, that they cloak themselves with this. And what does that even mean? I mean, is he going to, as far as what I mean by that, if people don't understand. So when he calls himself a leftist. So, I mean, is he going to, nationalize a bunch of industries? No, I don't think so. Is he going to, take over private businesses and give it to workers? No, I don't think so. That's what I think of when I think of leftists. In modern day, people think of kind of this progressive kind of wokeism, where that's kind of where he's at. Like we talked about before. He's, so it's like, okay, he's got a black female vice president, and that qualifies him as being a leftist. He talks a lot about indigenous people. He talks a lot about green energy, and that's pretty much all you have to do to be a leftist. I mean, I'm no fan of hardcore communists coming over and nationalizing the government. I'm just saying that that's what I think of when I think of kind of economic leftists, not the modern day. Just kind of green agenda that I think that, it goes along with the World Economic Forum and what you were saying is kind of the globalists. So, I think there's different factions of global leaders that work together. Obviously, now you're seeing the break off of China and Russia, the so-called global South, and maybe this the pink wave faction in South America. And whether he's along with kind of the World Economic Forum faction or the Maduro faction, I certainly Maduro has also put out a lot of tweets that was calling him what was it? He was calling him a weak leftist or a fake leftist or something like that. So, and Maduro's kind of like the leader of this Marxist faction in Latin America. So. Yeah, I think that he's going to be trying to straddle the fence here, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we don't want him to get swallowed up by the all this Marxist nonsense either. He said that he wants to develop. He said at his acceptance speech that he wants to develop capitalism, because they were still not, much of Colombia was not in the modern era where they could do all these giant European style social reforms. So that, a lot of the real economic leftists didn't like that he said that. So that's kind of an overview of how that's what's happened in the last week as far as that goes.
I guess we'll just see how the cookie crumbles, as Steve Carell who used to say in one of his movies. I found another interesting story that kind of irritated me regarding Mexico, given that I used to work in higher education here in Mexico. It says that Mexican university students, when they graduate, the top 3 places that they want to go work for is either Google, the Mexican federal government, or Pfizer, with I guess second, third, and fourth options being the Spanish bank Bancomer, I guess, which is the biggest bank that has its presence in Mexico. I think it's like 25%, or Amazon, or I don't know what the corporate group BMV is, and it's just like, are you kids? Are you people serious. The only one that I would go work for would be the Mexican government. Technically, I think I can work in some areas. Others I'm prohibited from. Even though I studied international relations, I believe I'm not allowed to work in foreign. What is it? Foreign service.
Well, you'd have to take all the vaxes.
Well, besides that, I'm a naturalized citizen, so there are still some limits for where naturalized Mexican citizens versus Mexican-born citizens, what they can do. I guess my point is like I would much rather work for a ragtag group of cutouts like TNT Radio, these guerrilla information pirate warriors, or start my own business like Geopolitics and Empire Podcast and fight against the empire, having against NATO, which is taking me down, and the Department of Homeland Security, which is, I'm irritating them so much that they're deplatforming me. But yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. It's just kind of sad that these kids, they don't. And I saw a clip this morning. I posted on my Telegram from Robin Monotti's channel, and it was in Spanish, but with translations. And it was interviewing a Spanish former government official that worked dealing with the health stuff. And he was basically saying how the pharmaceuticals, big pharma, have captured, they control the education system, when it comes to, studying to become a doctor, that like they control the curriculum, everything that's taught. And so that it's no wonder that these kids want to go, Pfizer is like a god, and they are our hope for turning things around, the next generation. And if they want to go work for Dr. Evil, then we're screwed. I don't know if you have any thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's really is an unfortunate thing. I mean, you would expect some people to want to work for the big companies, but you'd also expect a lot of people to maybe want to start their own business or do their own thing. And so, I mean, I consider that to be a negative thing overall. I mean, we could say that there could be a number of things that has to do with I think that this is one of the problems, or the miscommunications that people have on different parts of the political spectrum, because when they throw around words like capitalism or neoliberalism or globalism or this type of thing, that I don't think anybody on the right or left likes it when it's just giant corporations that come and basically control the market in a monopolistic faction. And so a more right-wing approach, you could say, is just to have more open corporate laws for small businesses, that you could incorporate, you could pay less in taxes, that you could have less regulation. And more left-wing approach would be to have more social programs and tax people higher in order to encourage small business. But yeah, I mean, I think that from my perspective, if you wanted to, one of the problems that happens is when you have high regulation and other types of that, which, I mean, Mexico does. I mean, it's easy to start a pretty small business. It's easy to get started, but if your business gets anywhere to at all large, it's going to be, you're going to have a lot of regulations. You have to file a lot of taxes, and it's just not as easy as in other countries. And then, of course, if you have a brick and mortar business that gets very popular, you might have people knocking on your door that want a piece of that. And so that's another thing that, people say, well, I don't want to start my own business because I might have people try to extort me. I might have people, threaten me or something like that. I might have the government that tells me I can't, for some regulation they just make up, or, if they just want to shut down your project because some new mayor is in town. So this is what's called regime uncertainty. And it's an economic term for when, there's just a lot of statism in a society, and it really depends on who's in charge, and that can change. And if it does change, then that screws up your business. Well, then people cannot plan for the future. And what they do is they just, don't start businesses. They don't move forward. They don't, the only way to be successful is to join a big corporation where hopefully they can be shielded from this type of thing. And unfortunately, that's not a good way for things to be, the economy in general to be moving, in my estimation. I think you want to have a more robust middle class and people that are able to be financially independent on their own rather than being dependent on giant corporations.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this. When I mentioned this, I saw a clip from Celaya, Guanajuato. Just a small vendor, probably doesn't have much money, older man, just got shot point blank by the Jalisco cartel, Nueva Generación, because he refused to pay them an extortion.
Yeah, well, he was the one that ran the whole thing, the whole market.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know the backstory on that.
Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, they said that he was working with that he was giving money to the Sinaloa cartel, and then so that one of the Nueva Generación said, "Well, it's ours now," and whatever. They just came up and shot him in the head, but that was the guy that ran the whole market there.
Ah, okay. I didn't know because all I found that was that video clip. So I guess you have further information. But anyways, that's crazy. It's like with that kind of stuff happening, it's like, I would also think twice about expanding, especially if you had a physical business in Mexico. Things are getting crazy. And I mean, here's just one more story, somewhat related from Vice News, but this was just posted a couple hours ago. Pirates are holding up Mexico's oil rigs at gunpoint. 10 pirates dressed in military attire and armed with assault weapons held up a Mexican government-owned oil platform in the southern state of Campeche. Just 2 weeks ago, during the heist, pirates kidnapped 6 workers for more than 3 hours and forced some of them to help carry the stolen goods to their waiting boats. And I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Things are not good in Mexico. We saw in Guanajuato, this guy point blank getting shot in the market. And then you've even got the Pemex, the Mexican government oil rigs in the water. Pirates just stealing stuff. So, I mean, the government can't even protect themselves.
Yeah. Or, it could be that, the managers or whatever the oil rig were in on it. But either way, it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, how can, as you were saying earlier, how can you have a robust, economy, middle class, giving people the opportunity, whether foreigners or Mexicans, to start businesses with this kind of environment? It makes it very difficult. And we are going to go to our second mezcal break. You can find James at jamesguzman.com, borderlessblog.com, borderlesshealthinsurance.com. We'll be right back on TNT Radio. We are back. Both of us, myself, the host, and my guest, talking to you from Mexico, and that's James Guzman of jamesguzman.com, borderlessblog.com, and I think this might be bad news for you, James. It says that big business could wipe out Mexico's sacred psychedelic peyote cactus. It says that scarcity looms for the thornless button-like cactus, which occasionally produces pink flowers, but otherwise sits camouflaged beneath the desert shrubs. And this is because of booming demand for peyote and deforestation caused by the expansion of the agribusiness sector, and it's being overexploited and illegally trafficked. So for people who want peyote, I guess that's not good news.
Yeah. Oh, I guess because you can't farm it. Yeah, that would make sense. That sucks.
What else is happening?
It's illegal to farm.
Yeah.
There is something I wanted to tell you about, and I found this, but it's not really in the news a lot. And that is, so we have the upcoming meeting with AMLO and Joe Biden, and El Financiero had an article basically saying that the U.S. is preparing a coup of the energy sector in Mexico. And this is one of the big things that they're supposed to talk about in the upcoming meeting. And they are saying that so one of the things that AMLO has been really harping on is the energy sector, that he wants to keep it He wants to, obviously keep it for the Mexican people and also kind of improve it in several different ways. And with the reforms that they had, that Peña Nieto put into place, which was, signed an agreement. I guess he's not really following all the rules to the U.S.'s satisfaction. And so they said that they are planning on speaking about this. And if he doesn't go along with stopping, I couldn't find the details about what it is exactly that they're complaining about. I know it does have to do with green energy reform as well, but also kind of investments into different energy sectors in Mexico by foreign individuals and firms. That if he did not go along with what they wanted, that they would be putting a tariff on Mexican imports into the United States, basically everything, but they mentioned avocados, automobiles, automotive parts, beer, tequila, tomatoes, and basically any product that has a large market share in the United States. How much that would really affect the Mexican business, I mean, I'm sure in the beginning it would hurt a lot. They could probably find other places to sell it if they really had to. I think that it would just lead to more price inflation in the United States of all those things. I mean, the way that I look at it, the people that pay tariffs are the person that pays the money for the product. It's not the farmer. The farmer could have less demand, but the money comes from the person buying it, from the country that, they're buying it. So, it's really the buyer in the United States is going to be paying. Part of that money is going to the United States government, and the Mexican farmer will be receiving the same amount of money per item that he did before, but the demand might go down. So he might need to replace that demand with other places all throughout Latin America. So something that we'll see if maybe AMLO decides to just go ahead and do what they say, or maybe he does not. And they do these, these taxes that they're threatening with. And, possibly it could be another thing that could hurt U.S. consumers and, have even higher price inflation on all those items.
Yeah, ultimately that would affect America because Mexico, a lot of stuff is made in Mexico and imported from Mexico. And yeah, that's big news going after. I mean, they've been doing this for years and trying to steal our energy resources and things like that, bring in GMO. And I just did see an article today, Mexico lithium aims hampered by lack of clarity. Of course, this U.S. consultant was asked, could Mexico develop a lithium mining industry without private sector involvement? And he says, absolutely not. And so they want to get in on the action. So we'll see, hey, it was Elon Musk who said, if we need to go in and overthrow a government to get lithium, he was kind of saying he would do that. So yeah, not always.
Yeah, he said we'll coup whoever we want.
There you go, Mr. Grandson of Canada's technocracy movement. I found something interesting just now from Financial Times. Goes to what you work on. Russia's digital nomads head for Latin America. And it says, you can find them on cafe terraces in Buenos Aires. Max Artushenkov moved to the Argentine capital with his wife and a newborn just 3 months ago, running an e-commerce startup. They are among hundreds of Russians estimated to have relocated to Latin America in recent months as a combination of relaxed entry rules and an ambivalence towards Western sanctions makes it an increasingly attractive destination. So it's an interesting article and yet another example of kind of what you and I have been doing and talking about, coming to Latin America and seeing so many people. I had a call this week about someone considering coming to Latin America. So yeah, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on this, or if you've seen any movement lately.
It's a growing movement in general. People that consider themselves to be digital nomads, of course, as remote work gets more popular and things like that. Although travel was kind of hampered with COVID, I think it's now, back up. And a lot of people are finding it better just to be able to bop around the world like that. They can go places that they're more comfortable, that they can pay less in taxes, where it's going to be less expensive, and where they just feel more comfortable. I think that, it, for the most part, it benefits countries to be friendly to that type of people that want to come in, as long as they're not causing any trouble or doing anything. A lot of people don't like that. I've noticed that there's a lot of people that, say like in Tulum and things like that they, they're complaining about all these digital nomads, that come. It's a lot of usually like single young guys, maybe they're like crypto traders or something like that. There's been a lot of in the past, so we'll see if that's going to continue to be the case. But it's a growing movement. I think that it'll continue to be that way. Also, Thailand and Philippines are very popular for that type. So I could see how, Russians, as their economy has been growing, that there's a lot more people that are able to do that kind of thing.
Interesting. It says the latest crop of arrivals is very diverse. Doctors, software engineers, digital nomads, workers in the construction industry. Most are from Russia's big cities, well-traveled individuals. Some go to Mexico City and they find, dozens and dozens of other Russian nationals. And one guy says he runs an investment firm in Dubai and said he's received 40 requests from Russian entrepreneurs looking to relocate or expand their businesses to South America. So, yeah, that's interesting. And what else is going on here in Jalisco, where I am? Cops found a suitcase crammed with cannabis-laced cookies, gummies, and Cheetos with more than 100 doses of cocaine and methamphetamine. So they're selling, I guess, cocaine-laced, marijuana-laced Cheetos, Rice Krispie bars, Jell-O, Skittles. So
that's humanity.
It says narco suitcase. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh my God. Of course, who cares about marijuana-based Cheetos or whatever? But the other things, meth and just slipped my mind the name of the other things. That's basically all over the United States now. A lot of people are complaining about kind of China that has been manufacturing this and then moving it up to the United States. There's a lot of people that are saying that it's basically a plot for China to come in and kill or weaken a lot of Americans, because it's basically like an epidemic. And do you know what I'm talking about? I just slipped my mind. I can't think of the name of the drug that they're using now.
No, I can't.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. So now they're saying that there's something way more potent than even that basically you touch it or it gets blown in your face, or, if you have it at all in cocaine or anything like that, that you just die, and that they're even importing that now. And so, there's a lot of stuff about China just getting a foothold all throughout Latin America. And so, a lot of people talking about that. It's been a big talking point lately.
All right. We're down to a minute and a half. Any further interesting news? There was, one story about how they are beginning to roll out in parts of Mexico these electricity charging stations, although this was for like the bus. Italian company will be installing 25 charging stations for these electric buses. So the Great Reset is slowly making strides. A minute left. Any final thoughts?
Yeah.
Oh, and Heineken Heineken will expand operations in Mexico with a $90 million plant. Yeah. Closing thoughts, James.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's it. I was just saying that there's some like Tesla stations here, but I've never seen one Tesla ever use it. So they've been here for like a few years. So I don't know how useful these things are. But anyways, yeah, thanks for having me on. And, as you mentioned, if anybody wants to check my stuff out, you can go to the websites that you mentioned. Borderlessblog.com has all my stuff there. So it's always good to talk to you. And we'll catch up next week.
Yeah, I think if you had a Tesla, the narcos would probably take it from you.
Anyways, a guy with a Tesla here. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other good news, PRI is talking about giving Mexicans more access to guns. Anyways, 10 seconds left. News break coming up. Stick around here on TNT Radio.